So the Warden just got canned, crumpled up, thrown in the bin, gone, popped, no more. The Warden, it's dead, it's gone, it's out of Minecraft.
Bruh.
Well, no, actually it's not. But it might be, kind of, maybe. Let's have a look at what's happened today, read between the lines of some messages, and find out for ourselves exactly what's going on with the Warden and the Deep Dark. The Warden, if you didn't know, is Minecraft's most highly anticipated new mob, planned to be coming out in Minecraft 1.17, which was due to be the Caves and Cliffs update, coming out alongside a whole new biome called the Deep Dark, found at the very bottom of the world above the new level of Bedrock, which was due to be a mysterious and scary place. The Warden was supposed to sense the player by vibration rather than sight, and being able to detect them would be incredibly strong and give a whole lot of damage, meaning it was going to be a dangerous place to be. Now, the Warden was promised at Minecon Live in 2020 and was promised to be part of the summer update, which was due to be Minecraft 1.17, but notice I keep saying was. As I'm sure you're aware, Mojang recently put out a video and a statement saying that the Caves and Cliff release, which was due to be 1.17, is actually being split down the middle. The first half coming in summer, which is expected to be sometime between June and August. That's going to be 1.17. And the second half being pushed back to the holiday season, which is probably December, which will be known as 1.18. And this has caused a little bit of controversy because in the past, when Mojang has split updates, particularly on Bedrock Edition, we get a little bit of an update and then a little bit more and then a little bit more, but it all ties together at the end under one name, like the Caves and Cliffs. But this time it's a little bit different. This time, what they've decided to do is give us an update, Minecraft 1.17, and then in December, when we get 1.18, they're actually going to undo a lot of the things they did in 1.17 in order to give us what they wanted to give us originally, which is a bit of a strange way of doing things. Which is cool, but it's also a little bit weird. So basically, this will be the first time in Minecraft's history that we're getting temporary mechanics in a stable release that are intentionally going to be removed. And what are those mechanics, you might be asking? Well, basically because there's not a whole lot to give us in summer in 1.17, they want to give us the blocks from the new cave generation or the new cave biomes that will be included in 1.18. So the lush cave blocks, the dripstone blocks, and all of those sorts of things, they want to give us in survival, and the only way they can do that is to put temporary new biomes in the underground without actually extending the Y level like they were planning on doing, and without the new cave generation, which means after 1.17, we'll be able to go caving, find all of these new biomes, but they're not going to be exactly how they're going to be in 1.18. And then in 1.18, they're going to undo all that, get rid of all of that generation, and put in a whole new different system that will be deeper, better, with all of the new cave generation as well. So it's going to change once, and then it's going to change again. Additionally to that, they're also giving us goats, and goats are supposed to spawn on mountains at the top, but we're not getting mountains, so they're going to have to spawn somewhere else for now, which means, again, goats, the data behind goats is going to have to change significantly between 1.17 and 1.18. And in all of this time, the players that are picking up Minecraft for the first time playing 1.17 are going to be quite confused when 1.18 comes along and the goats are no longer where they expect them to be. But I don't think that really matters too much, personally.
Where's the goat?
Bruh.
So it's a bit of a mess really, but I guess it kind of makes sense if Mojang are absolutely desperate to release something in the summer, which personally I think I'd prefer at this point that they would just delay the whole thing back to December and give us everything that was intended to go together, so there's no confusion for 6 months. Now, I'm sure Mojang have their reasons for doing it this way round, and I'm sure a lot of those decisions are based on financial decisions, which is absolutely fine because they're a game development studio that have bills to pay just like everyone else. But it is a bit of a strange decision. Anyway, we already knew all of that. That's old news. That was like a week ago. We've got new news today, and news that you might not have seen on Twitter from King B Dogs himself, who has dropped a bit of a bombshell about the Warden and the Deep Dark. So he released a thread of tweets today that basically detail that the Warden and the Deep Dark are not coming in part 1.17, which I think we kind of knew already. But the most important thing that he also said was that there's no promises that it's going to be in part 2 either in 1.18. Here's what he said. There have been some questions about the Deep Dark and Warden coming in part 1. I can say they're not coming in part 1 of Caves and Cliffs. The reason for this is that they have heavily interconnected gameplay mechanics and simply must come as a full package. And then he continues, while I understand this might be disappointing for some, trust me, the wait is worth it. Having more time for these features gives us more time to polish. The Deep Dark and the Warden are both very ambitious projects and we want to make sure that we get them done the right way. I appreciate everyone's patience, and when the Deep Dark and Warden finally come in the future, I think they will be worth it. And then this was followed by also an important note that there is currently no timeline for when these features will come. Bruh. But we will keep you up to date as soon as we know more info. No timeline, finally come in the future, they're gonna be worth it eventually. Lots of words here that Mojang have used a lot over the past that we're gonna now look into and see exactly what that means. So basically in that tweet thread, he has promised that those will be coming eventually, which is kind of a little bit like, do you remember the Super Duper Graphics Pack that was promised for Minecraft Bedrock Edition eventually? And do you remember the Biome Votes that we had in 2018 and 2019, where the losers of those Biome Votes were guaranteed that we would get them in the game eventually?
We'd like you to choose which biome we update next.
We need your help to decide which of these 3 biomes will be updated first. Updated first. Updated first.
None of those things have happened. The first biome vote, where the Taiga won, also had the Savannah and the Desert, and that was back in 2018. It will be 3 years ago this summer that we got those promised, and there's nothing there. And then the next year, in 2019, when the Mountains won, and that's right, the Mountains actually won the biome vote in 2019. Come 2021, 2 years later, they're still not actually going in the game when we're going to be getting the next Minecon Live, which is going to happen this summer. We're not getting Mountains until winter, which means that it's going to be the 3rd cycle since that biome vote. So not only have we not got the Mountains, which were promised, but they also said again, yes, the other 2, the Badlands and the Swamp, will be introduced to the game eventually. So looking closer at this language, I've been following Mojang and a lot of the developers from Mojang on Twitter and other social media for a very long time. I've read their tweets, I've read their replies to tweets, and I've even spoken to some of them in direct messages, and there is a certain language pattern that gets repeated over and over again for features and updates and things in the game that they are working on or maybe working on or would like to work on, but might not necessarily be coming out anytime soon, or if at all. Going back quite a while, Helen Angel, who was previously a community coordinator for Minecraft, was putting out tweets about the Super Duper Graphics Pack. Basically, a very long time ago, we were promised on Bedrock Edition this Super Duper Graphics Pack, which would basically make the game pretty much like RTX is now, but even better and on all devices. And this was promised. We got trailers, we got release, well, I don't think we got release dates, but we got all sorts of information about what it would do and how good it would be. And then it went deathly silent. There was nothing. There was no updates. There was no trailers. It wasn't mentioned at the next Minecon and the one after that. And we started to think, well, where's this Super Duper Graphics Pack? So obviously people keep moaning at Mojang and asking them where it was. And eventually Helen Angel came to us and she said that there was no timeline for the Super Duper Graphics Pack. And then being quizzed on this a little bit more, she then explained that that meant it's not actually in active development. It's not high enough up the priority list of features that Mojang are actually working on that they're giving development time to. So it's just sat there on a pile of things that we'd like to do. We don't actually have time to do it. And that's where I think the Warden and the Deep Dark are at this particular moment in time. And let me explain why I think they're there. Now, I think that Mojang have every intention of working on the Warden and the Deep Dark very soon, and I think they have every intention of bringing those out as quickly as possible. But let's just put ourselves in the mindset of Mojang for a moment and consider things from a business perspective. Minecraft Mojang have a history of putting out a big update every year. They have a Minecon live or some kind of event every year where they announce what will be in those updates. They've got one due pretty soon. It will probably be in August or September, and they'll be probably announcing at that what's going to be coming, what will be now in 1.19. Now, Mojang don't make this up as they go along. They don't decide the week before. They actually know maybe 2 or 3 years in advance what they are planning on doing in the next updates. So they'll know what is coming in 1.19, and they will know what is coming in probably 1.20, maybe even 1.21. And when I say they know, they'll have a set of features, a set of themes that they want to introduce into the games, and some of those things will already be being worked on by some of the developers there. Just like when we got the last Minecon, a lot of those features were already ready enough to show us in demos throughout the live stream or throughout the announcement. So those features we know are worked on months in advance. Now, what's happened right now is that Mojang have realized that the Caves and Cliffs update is so big that they can't possibly fit it all into one update because they don't have time to do everything on it. And now they'll be at the point where they'll be thinking we really need to actually start working on 1.19's features so that we're not delayed then. If we don't catch up now, then by the time we do our Minecon live announcement and we announce the things coming in 1.19, not only will we not have any footage of it to show people, but then come next year, the next summer when we're due to release that one, we'll already be 6 months behind. So basically, they'll have had to go round and go, what can we cut from this update? What's not important enough for us to put in 1.17 or 1.18 so we can cut that development time and give it to the 1.19 features? And I think that's where the Warden and the Deep Dark, and obviously we already know about archaeology, have all ended up. They are now on the back burner. They're on the pile of things we want to do, but things we don't actually have time to do, which is why they have no timeline for it and why it's coming in the future and eventually. So I'm sure they're all sitting there hoping and praying that they get 1.18 out nice and quickly, and they've got a big gap of time available before 1.19 is due to release so that they can work on that, get that off that pile and actually work on those and get those into 1.19. But if 1.19 is ambitious, or there's delays, or, you know, something like COVID happens again, or COVID even gets worse again, and we have all of those problems, then there's a good chance that those will get pushed on again to the next update and again to the next update, just like the losers of the Biome Votes, just like the Super Duper Graphics Pack, and just like all of those other features that Mojang have said in the past, we will do this eventually, but there's no timeline for it. So another question this brings up is what's going to happen with the Skulk Sensor? And again, King B Dogs on Twitter replied to somebody to basically explain that the Skulk Sensor is definitely not coming in part 1, and in part 2 it is going to be part of commands only. So you won't be able to get it in survival, you won't be able to get it in creative, but you will be able to summon it in and get it that way. And apparently the reason for that is so that it's not confusing that it's in the creative menu and not survival. Doesn't really make sense, that logic to me, but because again that's so deeply interconnected to the Deep Dark and the Warden, chances are it's going to be a long time since we see, or until we see that in survival, which I guess is kind of a big deal because that was one of the first things they worked on, one of the first things that everybody got excited about because it was new wireless redstone and so amazing, something we'd not seen before. And they're going to be thinking, how can we get this to people, because people are going to be desperate for this, but it doesn't fit with anything in the game now because the stuff we were going to be bringing it in with the game no longer exists or won't be existing until the future.
It's your kids, Marty.
Now, what I should have probably said at the beginning of this video is that I'm not actually putting Mojang down here. I don't think they've done anything wrong. I don't think they're doing something bad. And I don't think we should be angry, upset, or disappointed with them. At the end of the day, they've had an impossible year, an impossible 2 years by the time all of this is done with COVID and everything else that's gone on, and they really reached high with this update, so there were gonna be some issues getting it to where it needed to be. So I understand that things need to change, and in game development, some things get lost and dropped, and some things get added that you weren't expecting. That's just the nature of how these things go. I love the fact that Minecraft integrates with its community. It's on Twitter, it's got Discord, it's on social media, and it reaches out to people and it implements things into the game that people have asked for and suggested.
Yeah, you're really looking for community feedback to make sure this feels great for everyone.
Absolutely. I think because this is such a unique mechanic, we really want to make sure that we get it right. And, we love the Redstone community and we want to make sure that we do it right. So any feedback you have, any ideas, send it to us and we will work with you to make this the best block that it can be.
It's the people at Mojang, the developers, the community coordinators, the people that work there that make all of this happen. And that's brilliant. No other game developer that I know of in the industry listens and is as present to us as people as those are. And that's absolutely wonderful. But I think that comes with a lot of disappointment as well with all of the promises they've made. And that's quite easy to fix. If Mojang or the people at Mojang was to change their language slightly in how they speak to us, then we wouldn't get such high expectations and we wouldn't be so disappointed when these things don't come out. Imagine this scenario. Mojang make a big announcement at 1.19 and they say, we are going to be adding these features. Check out these exciting new features. They're going to be wonderful and we're bringing them to you in summer. In just 1 year's time, you're going to have all of these things. It's going to be amazing. And everybody gets really excited. Of course we do. We want these things. This is wonderful. They're giving us new stuff. Change is good in this perspective because it's something they're giving to us like presents. But then 6 months later, they release a statement going, well, hang on a minute. We said we were going to give you those things, but actually we want them back. And you can have a bit of it now. And we might not give you those ones at all because they're not finished, basically. And we shouldn't have said that. We shouldn't have done that, basically.
I should not have said that.
Now imagine they said this instead. Hey guys, these are some amazing features we're currently experimenting with and we really want them to be part of the game. Check this out, this is so cool, look what happens when we do that. We're currently playing with these things inside the studios at the minute and we're really hoping to bring them to you. We'd like them to be with you by next summer, but some of these are quite advanced things so they might be a little bit later on. People are still going to go crazy. Yes, please, I want those things and I'd like them sooner rather than later, but you've told me I might get them later, so I'm not going to be worried too much if they don't come in summer. So you still get the same level of expectation, that same level of excitement over these things that Mojang are playing with and working on, but you don't feel quite so depressed and down and disappointed when Mojang take them back off you again. So I think just a little change of language like that can really make a big difference in terms of managing expectations and disappointment as well in terms of the Minecraft community. So that's basically it. Now you could look at this video and say, FoxyNoTail, you are full of rubbish. That just means it's not coming in 1.19. It will definitely be there in 1.18 because I believe in it. And you might be right. And they might pick it up. They might actually pick it up and get it out to us before that. They might get us out to us in 1.19. We don't know, and they don't know, which is why they've said very vaguely there's no timeline for it. All I've done today is read between the lines of what history we've had in terms of communication from Mojang before, and given what I think is a relatively educated guess on what's going on in terms of development. Now, I've not worked in a development studio myself, and I've not worked in their environment myself, but I have run businesses before and I've worked in businesses, and that's the kind of language that we would use to basically say, hey, this product isn't ready yet. We're not really sure when it's going to be ready, when actually we're thinking, well, we haven't even started working on that yet because we're doing something else. So yeah, basically you can take it with a pinch of salt what I've said. You can listen to me, you can not. You can agree with me, you can not. It really doesn't matter. I just wanted to get this out there to you so that you've got a point of view that might be not the one you already had. Anyway, that's enough from me. I hope you enjoyed this little video here. I certainly enjoyed making it. If you did enjoy it, please do consider leaving a like. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more strange ramblings by this strange fellow. Goodbye.